Hey guys, and welcome back to another Cultured Boys discussion. I'm Pepe and I'm joined by Nathan, and today it's going to be a bit of a behind the scenes kind of thing because we're going to be talking about Cultured Boys as a whole, as it is our 1 year anniversary since we created the channel.
Woo, yay!
Yeah! Granted that, what was it? We didn't upload anything until, want to say March? Was it March, Nathan?
Yeah, around then. It was a few months, but still 1 year, guys.
1 year, like, we do things. But yeah, as I mentioned, this is just going to be a behind the scenes thing, how we found the experience so far. Like things, like just talking about things we did along the way. Things might have changed, things like we might not have changed, things we like, things we didn't like. But yeah, how are you doing, Nate? You good?
I'm super hyped. Like,
yeah.
Honestly, I didn't kind of expect us to get this far. In a way, not in like a pessimistic, like, oh, we weren't gonna last. It's just, you never know when you start a thing that you'll end up liking it, you know, like, so I'm just grateful we even got this far, so thanks, Pepe. I mean, yeah. Like, thanks for starting this with me for one. Like, me and Pepe have been talking about creating a podcast or some sort of show for probably the better part of almost a decade now.
Yeah, I think we've always had like ideas of like stuff we wanted to do together. Like, I remember it was funny enough. I remember when I first joined sixth form with you, Nathan, and we had an idea that we wanted to create a manga.
Oh yeah,
and it was. It was about a talking pinball machine.
Yep, it was a samurai who got trapped inside of a pinball machine.
Yeah.
What was he? We called it Talking Pinball Machine something. Well, I forget the actual character's name.
I can't remember what the name was. It was something really stupid, but it was.
But knowing us, it was probably like Takeshi or something.
It probably was. It was really early days, and like I think it was kind of inspired by, we read Bakuman, and it'd be really cool to make a manga because we like Nathan can do the drawings, and I'll come up with like story and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it was also because at the meeting Pepe, I got into manga properly.
Yeah,
like that's when I started reading, and I was like, we could do this. we thought we could do it.
There's probably still like a notepad somewhere in my room, like from when I was like a teenager. It's like, hey, we can do this thing.
There's probably some storyboards of it that I did for my uni interview to just show off that I was like, yeah, I'm creative.
You know what I realized probably not too long ago, Nathan, that the inspiration behind this probably came from, we were talking about in The Simpsons, like, was a look back sort of like where we're just doing like talking about discussions at work. We're talking about the episode where like everyone has their own little side story in that.
Okay, yeah.
There's I think it was the clip show where Mo and Abe Simpson have their spin-off, right? The love testing grandpa. Like, it is the exact our manga that we came up with is the exact same premise as that.
Oh god.
Where it's the ghost of a samurai and basically takes over a pinball machine. And it helps this kid who's like socially awkward or whatever then realize that it is the exact same premise as Grandpa Simpson going into a love testing machine in Mo's bar and helping Mo get dates.
Oh god.
But yeah, that's a history. That's the first collaboration that me and Nathan did together, and yeah, it didn't last more than a month.
Wow, I don't even know if it lasted a month. It was probably like a solid 2 weeks.
Yeah, probably. We had ideas though. We came up with ideas.
Yeah, we did. And if I had my old phones, I probably had notes on there or something. I have no idea, but
that's an insight. As Nathan said, yeah, we wanted to be doing this we wanted to do some YouTube stuff. We ages ago we wanted to try and start something.
We had all sorts of ideas. It sounds a bit egotistical, but we've always had these conversations, not specifically about starting a YouTube show or something or a podcast, but we always have talked about games and manga and stuff, and we were always like, somebody would probably listen to this.
Yeah, even if someone, even if you guys do or don't listen to it, I think I've always just wanted to do some sort of I don't know, I just wanted to do something outside of like of what we would usually do, just playing games or reading manga. Like we
Yeah.
always discuss stuff. We always have these long discussions, right?
And sometimes they get heated. I think mainly we're always like, somebody would listen to this mainly because we're going to say something stupid or we've said something stupid.
Yeah, not everyone's gonna like agree with our opinions either. That's one thing. Like, not everyone's gonna like listen to like be tuning into exactly what we want to listen, like talk about, for example. But we've always had these discussions. Like, oh, it'd be cool if we actually did start something. And I think it was only like literally a year ago that we were like, might as well actually do it. Because it was lockdown sort of times, and I think
we had nothing else to do.
Yeah, for me personally, I felt like lockdown was one of those ones where I was like, I realized I don't actually have any like hobbies like outside of what I usually do, like reading the manga, playing games, and that, like watching stuff. I'm like, it'd be good to actually like start a hobby, and like I think this is when I was like, hey, we should actually. Like that's when I came to you. I was like, maybe we should actually try and do this sort of thing.
Yeah, it was lockdown, and even though we've always had these discussions about doing something, this was the only time I felt like both of us were actually like, no, yeah, like let's actually make this happen. Because it pretty much within the week we went and did research, looked at equipment, tried to find out roughly what we need to actually get this going, and we were discussing what to call the show, what to talk about, like what we wanted this to be.
Exactly, yeah.
And honestly, most of the time, our discussions never even got this far. So it is still amazing that we actually did it.
Yeah, and to think we've done this many episodes as well. I think this is like our 38th episode.
Yeah, this recording or this episode is 38 episodes. We missed a few weeks here and there, but we've been pretty consistent with it, to be fair.
I think for a channel that's just starting up or whatever, like in our first year, like sure, like there's probably channels that have grown faster than us in that sort of thing. But at the same time, I think we do stuff like on our own terms. We're not necessarily chasing an algorithm.
Yeah.
Like we're doing stuff we want to do.
Yeah, that was an important part for us as well, is we both came into this agreeing that we didn't want to try to turn this into something. We just wanted to do this for the fun of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And if something happens because it was like, you know, people found it and it became big, we'll figure it out from there. But like, it was never our intention to do it because we wanted to be internet famous or whatever, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think, don't get me wrong, like it is always nice to be like, oh, this video's done quite well in terms of views or whatever. Or it's like, oh, this one's got like a comment or whatever. It's always exciting to see that stuff, don't get me wrong. Like I absolutely love like seeing like people's reactions to our videos, like how many people like listen, stuff like that. Like it's really like always exciting. I'm glad that people do listen to us, and I'm glad that they're like we've got some sort of a following.
Yeah, I mean, we have to shout out our biggest accomplishment so far. We received an email to our Cultured Boys email address letting us know that in the Philippines we are the 61st most listened to leisure podcast on Apple Podcasts, and that was weirdly like amazing.
Yeah, like just like I don't know, just not being in triple digits is like a thing. I was like, wow, that's like I don't even know if it goes as far as triple digits, but at the same time, it's still an accolade. It's like sure it might not be like like number one or like I don't know, even like number 30 or whatever, but it's still cool. Like that's a cool thing to hear.
In the reality of it, we're just two guys in two separate buildings in the country, right? Talking to each other about nerd shit, and somehow we broke the top 100. So shout outs to you, Philippines. We love you. Keep listening. We really appreciate it. We like seriously do. It comes across as insincere sometimes because, you know, that's what every YouTuber podcaster does. You know, it sounds like a spiel, but like we actually seriously appreciate whoever it is out there that is listening to us and put us in the top 100 of leisure podcasts on Apple Podcasts in the Philippines.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, thank you guys. It's just amazing to actually, I think it's amazing to just have listeners in general.
Yeah.
Like anyone that actually watches our videos, like tunes into our like podcast or whatever. I'm very thankful of anyone that like sort of actually listens to that. It's cool. Like someone actually wants to hear like what we have to say. Like even if you don't stay around for the whole thing, I feel like it's still quite cool to actually like, I don't know, I don't know, give us a listen.
Yeah, like that's another thing that's important to us is like we don't care how you use this content, like how you intake this content. As long as somebody is at some point for some period or amount of time, that's cool to us.
Definitely.
Because honestly, we put it out there not expecting anyone to ever listen to us and just making it for our own like self-indulgence. In a way,
yeah, it's just a cool thing. And I think like that, like it feeds into like a mix of yes, I'm like we're doing this as a hobby, and yes, it's good that we have these viewers. But we're still going to produce the content that we like as well. Like obviously, we always say if there's any like suggestions that you want us to talk about stuff, like we're always open to it. Like just leave us a comment like in the like comment section on our YouTube stuff. Like it's always there.
Yeah, and if it's a good idea, we'll turn it into an episode. If not, we'll try and put it into like some sort of bigger episode where it's maybe we talk about a bunch of little things.
Yeah, like it's always like we're always open to stuff anyway. But yeah, like feeding back into like when we first started, I guess like finding our feet, I feel was I don't know, I do and don't want to say like we did anything wrong in our first videos, because like I think our first videos we basically recorded basically two hour long records, right?
I think that's the only thing we did wrong.
Yeah,
is the length of it. That's why it took so long. And at the time, I didn't know how to edit, or I hadn't edited anything in a long time. So like I sort of forgot how to. So I actually wasn't helping in such a capacity as I am now. I think, yeah, in terms of mistakes, I would say that's it. We tried to keep it at about an hour due to editing time.
I think that's the one thing, because I think it's one thing editing a 1 hour video. I think it's very reasonable. But the moment you start editing 2 hour videos, that's when it's like, Jesus Christ, it's like after an hour, you're like, it's a lot of like it's a lot of the audio editing and then finding pictures and stuff like that.
For at least me personally, like an hour of audio recording, sometimes for me, that's a whole day just sat cutting that up. And that's before layering in images and putting on the waveforms and stuff. Like that's why our first episodes are so long and took so long, is because it just dragged.
I think that's why there's quite a lot, like we spaced it out as well, because I felt like for our first videos as well, uploading a 2 hour video straight off the bat, I don't think it would have been a good idea to do that, because at least it's a huge one to go through like on your first episode, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I think we just decided to split them up in like, because our top videos, right, our first 2 videos were top 5s.
Yeah, just so people could get to know us.
Yeah. It was literally that. It's like, hey, let's get to know us and stuff. So those are our top 5 gaming franchises and our top 5 manga franchises.
Yeah.
So we did those. I think we recorded them very close together as well. I can't remember. We didn't do it in the same day.
No, but I think it was within a couple of days or so.
And we always wanted to be like sort of, I think our premise is that we always wanted to be like so far ahead in editing as well. Like we don't want to be leaving it like, I don't know, a day before and then publishing that. And at the time as well,
we always had the idea that we were going to try and make it week to week. So we wanted to have at least 6 to 7 days for edit time.
And it's like in some ways it is still kind of like that, but it's, I don't know, it's different. I feel like I do enjoy the records a lot, and I enjoy seeing everything like the finished product. I think like, see, I work in media, right?
Yeah.
And I've always done, like, I did a media degree when I was in university. And I've always found, like, when I was doing any, like, coursework or whatever, I like writing, I like editing, but when it comes down to production, I've always never been a fan of it. I've never enjoyed directing or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
But when it came down to this, right, it's one of those ones, like, I feel like I love doing the record. I love seeing the finished products and all that sort of stuff. But like, I'm not gonna lie, editing is a laborious process.
Oh yeah, it definitely is.
It's one, and this isn't me saying I hate doing this. Absolutely not, far from it. But like, it's one of those ones, like, it does take time. It does take time out of your day. And so like as a person that's like sort of like you said, do you like when you edit a video, do you do it in a whole day or do you split up?
It depends on how I'm feeling. I know there's been quite a few days where I start the audio edit and I will leave it. And that's why, like, behind the scenes, there's me and Pepe message each other regularly on, keeping each other updated on how the videos are going. And there are some weeks where I literally will message Pepe and the only message he'll get is video is going to be ready tomorrow, because I've literally sat there for a whole day and a half, maybe 2 days, and just smashed it out, like just got everything done. But there's a lot of times there's a lot of times where also it'll take me like 4 days, because I'm like, I'll edit 10 minutes here, like 10 minutes of audio, which is still like probably 2 or 3 hours, and then like another 10 minutes another day, and whatever, like it just over time, like it will build up to like, okay, I finished the video now.
I feel like I'm that sort of mentality, because obviously, like, with my job it's like a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So I finish my job and then like I'll come home, eat dinner or whatever, and then like I'll jump on the edit basically. But like it depends on like how I'm feeling at that point as well, because obviously I've just done a full day of work, and as I mentioned before, I basically work in media, right? So like it's one of those ones where like I've basically finished editing and I come home.
And you're doing it all over again.
So it's one of those ones where I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I could do a whole hour, basically. Or like, it's not even a whole hour. It's like sort of, I find that I split up. Say if it's an hour episode, right? I'll edit for, like, my aim is always 15 minutes. I want to get 15 minutes edited in one night.
Okay.
And sometimes I'll hit that 15-minute mark. And I don't know if you find the same, but like when I'm editing, like I get to a point, say the 15-minute mark hits, and we're still in the middle of conversation. I'm like, well, I don't, like, next time I pick this up, I don't want to just be listening to where I left the conversation off.
Yeah, so you just go to the end, or
I keep going to the end, as you said, and then sometimes the end is like ends up being like half hour, or it might just be 20 minutes. Who knows? But like it depends on how motivated, how tired I am that night when I get back.
Oh yeah, I completely get that.
Yeah, that's a little bit of editing behind the scenes anyway. Like both of us are still trying our best to edit as well. Like I've still got a lot to learn.
I've definitely still got a lot to learn.
And you do pick up things a lot along the way. I feel like our editing style has improved a lot as well.
I was going to say, like, off the tail end of our first 2 episodes, that really did teach us a lot. Like, we really discovered the pitfalls of what we thought the show was going to be to what it is now. For example, the 2 hours, like I said before, we cut it down straight. We tried to keep it to an hour now, because that is just too long. It's too much. It also taught us for future videos where we got lists of things we got to talk about, that between the 2 of us, 5 is the absolute limit, but we need to be a bit faster. Or maybe we should cut it down and only talk about 3 things each, because then that includes tangent time and anything else that could happen in an episode. And that generally gets us to about an hour, maybe at most an hour and 15.
Yeah, I think like when it gets to an hour 15, I'm like, okay, like we really need to cut this down.
That's why a lot of times, if you're listening or watching, it sometimes feels like we are cutting a thought short, but it's for the intention of there is going to be too much and it needs to be cut. And it's just easier to like finish a thought or just cut it short than to just keep cutting things.
Yeah, off of that as well, I remember at very early days as well, we're looking at different channels and see what we can sort of incorporate. Not obviously steal ideas, because that's the thing is, when you're talking about gaming and manga and anime and that sort of thing, obviously there's certain YouTubers or like podcast platforms out there that do a certain thing well. They have their own style, right?
Yeah.
And like obviously there's a lot, when you look at gaming channels, especially Nintendo ones, they always cover like maybe a discussion on Nintendo Direct, for example. And I believe that's our 3rd video we recorded.
It is, and that was a killer for us. In terms of production,
that was horrendous. Like we did it, and like the thing is, we recorded it, right? And then it was like, oh, okay, cool, let's try and push this out. But again, there's a lot to talk about there. And it was just like, oh my God. And I don't think we actually even got it out until maybe about a week or 2 after the Direct had aired.
That was another thing, because the 4th episode was the Pokemon Direct that happened right after that Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
Which was my first edit.
Yeah.
And as a timely thing, that was just so much pressure. We really wanted to play the YouTube game and get that out in time so that we could try and get on that hype train and try and get some views. But we discovered between the 2 of us, like, that's just not possible with our current production schedule.
No, absolutely not. And like I think that's the thing we're talking about here. Like very early days, it was all trial and error, see what we wanted to do in that. And we find that like maybe it isn't just our vibe. That's the thing. There's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, we tried it, and it's not something that we can necessarily pull off right now.
Yeah.
And I think the only time we've done that after those two directs, I think, was the E3 video.
Yes, our 13th episode.
I still don't think it was a bad one, but again, I feel like we did like try and push it out as early as we could.
It did.
Yeah, and you were on the edit on that one as well, weren't you?
Yeah, that was mine. But luckily by that point, I had more experience editing our videos, and I was a little more used to what I was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that was the other thing. Like Pepe had edited 3 episodes by that point, and I could already feel the strain of our production cycle. So I tried to get some software, and I asked Pepe, like, what do you do? Like, show me what you do so that I can help out, so I can take some edits, because like it's not fair that you do this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see the growing pains of me having to do this. Because it's like my first edit is pretty like strange. Like it looks like Pepe's stuff, but it's also like weirdly cut here and there. But I get a little more used to it over time, and like Pepe said before, I think we really have come into our stride at the moment.
Yeah,
like our editing style is pretty set in stone. You can still sort of tell if you're paying attention, like who's edited what episode.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting one to try and guess it. If you're like that, if you're into editing, it's always like, and you know someone's editing style. Like between the two of us, it is quite an interesting game to play, I imagine. But I will say this, like your editing style has come on like a lot considering like when we first started. Like I remember what was it? I think there was a specific one. I think it was the first manga review we did. It was Sakamoto Days and Mashal.
Okay.
And I remember listening to it, and pictures were fine in that. But I was like, it sounds like obviously I think when I was showing you, I was like, oh, there's sometimes where we leave gaps between like sentences.
Yeah.
So it'd be like, oh, I think this, but then I also think this, and like sort of like that kind of gap just sounds like, oh no, sometimes you just need to cut it down a little bit. And like I remember listening to your edit on that one, I was like, I think I said that note, and then I was like, oh my god, like I think you cut out almost every pause that we had.
Yeah, I did, because I was doing what you told me.
And I was just like, oh my god. I think when he said, oh, like, can you just give me some notes on this? I was like, it sounds like two robots talking right now. It sounds like, hey, this is the thing. And then you'd be like, yeah, I agree with you. And it seemed like the pacing of it was like, oh my god, this is like, this is a lot. I think at that point it was like, oh, we can't really go back to too much to actually go and change it, because I've been there before. I know what it takes to be like going through this edit. And I was like, I can't like tell you to re-edit this whole thing. It's too much. And as I said again, when you first learn editing, right? When you first getting back into it, because like granted, like you picked this up, like how long before editing did you like pick this up? Like how long's the gap been basically?
It would have been probably about 10 years, because we learned back in sixth form.
That's it, right? And
in media studies. So yeah, for me it probably would have been a good like 10 years or so.
I think learning any program or picking any program back up straight away is a mammoth task, right?
Oh yeah.
And it's like one of those ones where like I can understand, like, yeah, I did technically tell you, hey, let's cut down the gaps a bit more, but I was like, oh my god, this is a lot. But like since then, honestly, like your editing has come on like so much. Like you've done like an incredible job. Like some of the stuff you pull off, like I'm like, oh my god, I haven't done that like in a while, or like I didn't think I'd have the time to do that sort of thing. You pull off some stuff in those visual edits on YouTube that are like really good, incredible.
See, I appreciate that, because I've always said to myself, those kind of things that I put in the videos, at least like the visual edits and things, I do it mainly for myself.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody else finds that funny, that's great, because that means they get my humor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I've always tried to do things that I think are funny. And I was like, at the very least, the only other person I care that understands is Pepe. But you're right. Like I've had to learn so much.
No, I think it's like very like props to you for actually like picking this up and like throwing in those like extra gags and that. Because I think like before you started doing it, I think I was just like, look, okay, put the pictures in, put them together, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like maybe an editor note here and there, but like it wouldn't be anything massive. But like seeing how you've done that sort of thing, it's kind of inspired me to do more as well. Because I like there's like I think it's up to a certain point that I think you tell if Nathan's edited the video because there'd be sort of visual gags in it and stuff, or there'd be certain things.
Yeah.
And like with my edits, I didn't actually include any of that. I was just like, look, let's keep it strictly to the pictures. It'd be fine, just flip through some stuff, it's all good. But like I think like that sort of inspired me. I'm pretty sure like you've noticed like since like recent.
I have. It's getting hard to tell now because it's like now you're putting in text and now you're doing weird like color changes or like screen shakes or something, and I'm like, okay, this is it. This is the next evolution for us. Like this is our editing style now. Our videos might not always include weird stuff, but every now and again it's probably gonna have something if we think it's funny.
I'm always a bit curious if you wonder if I'm picking up stuff like when because the thing is, right, as well, Nathan actually finds the pictures for us, right?
Yeah.
Like because I'm I'm just like trying to like edit stuff and I'm like, Nathan, can I get this picture right? Because Nathan's like a king of Photoshop, but like if anything like I think Nathan's like absolute don at Photoshop, right? Like I can never shout his skills and more.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Incredible stuff. That's why I'm always like to Nathan, mate, can you get me this certain image, right? And I think one that stuck in my mind was I think there's two of them, right? I think they were quite recent episodes. One of them was Sonic handcuffs.
That one I struggled with, I'm not gonna lie.
But I was still like I was like, Nathan does good Photoshops, right? And I'm like, I want to see if what he comes up with if I ask, hey, can I get some Sonic handcuffs? And not gonna like you weren't too keen on them. You were like, I'm not sure if I like this or whatever. And I was like, this is incredible. I like, even if it isn't like the greatest like Photoshop like sort of thing, I still loved it. I appreciate it so much. It's like it's exactly what my vision of stuff. And then another image I requested from you was it's Naruto and Sasuke in Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh yeah.
And then I always wonder, like when I request these images from you, what's going through your mind is like, what the fuck is he editing? Or is it like because that's the thing, like obviously you come up with the pictures and stuff, like so obviously when it's your edit, like I have no idea what's coming through. Like I watch the video, I'm like, oh, he's done that. But like obviously you kind of have like a hint of like, oh my god, Pepe's doing something.
But the thing is, like, it still surprises me how you do it. Like, for example, that Ghost of Tsushima image, I made it, I sent it to you, and then in the video I did not expect these quotes to come up. But I really like that you picked up on what I was trying to put in that image, because I intentionally made it with the thought that, oh, it's Jin Sakai facing off against Naruto and Sasuke, because that was the best image I could find.
Yeah.
And like, I really appreciate that you get it and you put in those quotes. Like, I was stunned. Honestly, I was. And that's kind of what I like about the way we work. Mm-hmm. At the moment is that we sort of there's still surprises to both of us. Like I used to send Pepe the thumbnail every week, mm-hmm. and Pepe eventually just said to me, I don't want to know.
Yeah, not
in a bad way, but he's like, I just want it to be a surprise. You make whatever you're gonna make, and I'll see it when the video comes out.
Like more often than not as well. Like you send me these thumbnails, and I think every time I look at it, I'd be like, yeah, it's great. I have no issues with it. And I still don't have any issues with the thumbnails you make at the moment as well, because it's just like, at the end of the day, I'm not going to, like, could I do any better? Absolutely not. Like, it's one of those ones where like you do what you do. And yeah, I'm happy with like what you do. I'm pretty sure. Hopefully it's a two-way street.
I mean, yeah, it is, but because I've got almost complete creative freedom for the thumbnails, mm-hmm. but at the same time, like, it's another production thing we learned. We both set up things so they're almost dummy proof. Like Pepe made a master edit file on Premiere, and it's basically, we don't have to start a new thing every time. It's got all of our stuff in there. You just open it, you dump the new stuff in, you save it again as the new file, and then that's it. I've done the same for the thumbnails, for the background art and stuff. Like, we've actually got a pretty good base production set up in that sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For like anyone that's like starting up YouTube or whatever, I think it's always when you're editing, it's always good to have like a base project, right? I think it's always good to have that in mind. Like, know what you want to, like, know that you always have have that master project which you always go back to and you can just chuck stuff in there. Then you have your exact style there.
Yeah.
It's always good to have that sort of thing. Like, I think I've learned that from other people as well. There's like, I've learned from people in like the media industry, like how they operate. And it's always good to have that sort of thing. It's always good to have that.
And I'd say it's the same for thumbnail creation and stuff. It's easier if you have one base file that is just the same size the thumbnails always have to be, instead of having to create a new one every time. And it's important to think about branding, even though we said, we don't care, but we understood the basics of like YouTube and sort of marketing in that sense. So I've always in the thumbnail tried to put something from our own branding, whether it just be the glasses or the actual like logo. It's always there somewhere and in some form, and there's always our colors.
It's consistent, yeah.
Unless it's a big, like, unless I've gone super fancy with it, and then it's always the same font. Like, it's keeping that sort of consistency. That's one thing we knew beforehand from watching so much YouTube and seeing other YouTubers, but it's also like something we really tried to implement early days.
I think there's a lot of stuff where like when it comes down to our thumbnails, etc., when we upload on YouTube and stuff, I think there's always there's been tweaks along the way as well.
Yeah,
I think there's always been like certain bits where we're like, let's change the title of these or whatever. There's been executive decisions where like, hey, let's change up this thing, because I think we changed our upload dates as well, because I think we used to be Saturday, didn't we?
Yes, we used to upload Saturday 1:00. We're now Sunday at 12:00.
Yeah, it's just one of those ones where like it's just a day after, but like I think it's just like little decisions like that. We're just like, let's like change this up or whatever, and like it's always been like that. I think there's all small changes. I think it always will be like small changes from here on, because I think we've got an established thing we want to do.
Yeah,
and it's just like how do we make it better? What's a bit more appropriate thing for us? When's a good upload time? And it's like, yeah.
On the back of that, like we originally used to wanted to have a more like regimented episode. We wanted to have like segments and stuff, but we could never figure out what those segments were and how that would work into our like daily lives as well. Because like you can do a weekly segment, but you have to remember that whatever it is, you still have to put in the work outside of the recording.
Yeah.
So you can't just hit record and be like, let's do a weekly news segment, but nobody's looked up the weekly news.
Yeah. It is always that, yeah. Like I think like initially we wanted to do a weekly manga review as well.
Yeah, because we were reading every week, but at the same time we also felt like that was just taking away from the actual topic.
Yeah, it's a turnaround time as well with that sort of thing. Like I think if you're just talking about one manga chapter, and like you uploading like a 10-minute thing, I think it's more, you can do that. It's a short video, and the turnaround time probably would just be a day, to be honest. Like if we had the like all that sort of stuff, it is like it's quick turnaround on that. But we I think 10-minute videos just no, it wasn't our sort of thing. It's not what we wanted to do. I think we just wanted to do like sort of like a podcasting kind of thing, didn't we? We've always wanted to do that sort of vibe.
Yeah, we always knew it was going to be a podcast format in a sense, because we knew we were going to want to have like slightly longer conversations. And it's just, we're not the most coherent of people. We might sound that way, but that's editing helps a lot, because there's a lot of things that hit the cutting room floor.
Editing helps a lot of things. I think, is there anything else that like we've came across or whatever?
I mean, one thing we also learned that's quite important, at least for us, and I'm not saying it'll work for everyone, but we always found in the early days we tried to just come up with a topic on the day, but we've actually found it works a little better for us to plan ahead, so that we can then, if you know ahead of time, if there's any research that needs to be done, well, now you can do it. Yeah. Or if you need to watch something or read something in time, well, now you can do it because you've got that time ahead.
Yeah.
But at the early days, it really restricted us for what we could talk about, because we would come up with it like literally just before hitting record. We'd probably be talking for 20 minutes to an hour, like, well, so what about this? What about that? And it obviously, you can't talk about certain things because it's like, well, have you read that? Have you watched this? Do you know about it? And it's like, no, I don't. So yeah,
a lot of the stuff like early days was off the cuff. I remember that I think it was one day where I think I was outside walking and you messaged me like, hey, what are we going to talk about today? And I was like, oh, fuck knows. And I was like, should we do a Pokemon tier list? Because I think at the time I was literally like watching back-to-back Pro ZD tier list stuff, and that was like one of our first like sort of different non-real discussion-y videos. It was more very YouTube focused, that one. and we did a couple of them like week after week, but then I think we just like we wanted to go back to our sort of discussion stuff after that.
Well, because it was around then that I started actually looking into how to get us on podcast platforms, because we weren't on podcast platforms until I don't even know what episode, if I'm honest. I think it was around the One Piece episode.
Yeah.
The One Piece global character poll that I actually looked into how to get us on podcast platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing, is our style then changed again slightly, because we have to be aware that now it's not just YouTube. Even though we always intended to be on YouTube, it's now like, oh, we have to cater to the audio listeners as well, because there won't be a visual element.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, it hasn't impacted us that much, but it's still sort of like, you have to sort of think about it a little bit. And that's why sometimes we split our ideas, because it's like, that's more of just a YouTube video than a Cultured Boys like podcast.
Yeah. It's an interesting one, but I think that's the thing. Like we always have like ideas, and I think we are going to expand on some of these ideas as well. Like there's some things I'd like to try out.
Yeah,
but obviously we gotta like see like what suits us the best as well. It's all good coming up with an idea, right? And it's always like, let's try and figure out how it's gonna work for us. Like it's always good. Like it's like, oh, I've seen this other channel do it, but how do the Cultured Boys take this on? How do we do it?
Yeah, and it's not just that. Sometimes it's also fitting it into the current production schedule, because again, we both work day jobs, so Cultured Boys is a hobby. We do it in our free time, and sometimes these other ideas, these expanded YouTube videos or something, would take from the actual edit or production of Cultured Boys. So it's one of those where we're still trying to figure it out, but I won't say expect it anytime soon, but do expect that we might put out some different stuff at some point, because we still want to. Like, we like doing this and we want to expand as creators, and God, that just sounds so played out as YouTubers, I guess.
But like, it's at the same time, we don't want to be producing the same content every week. Like we want to like sort of like do different things. We want to like, sometimes we'll do something new and it might, hey, this actually works for us or whatever. Like who knows what the next step will be.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like the exciting part of this as well. You know, like we've made it to 1 year, and I'm kind of like, what's the second year going to look like? What's next for us?
Because I think it's good that we're like sort of taking this on, because I'm curious. I'd like to, like, obviously we've collaborated as well. We've done a video with Wildebeest Plays, aka Sam.
AKA Sam, AKA The Wilder Side. Like, he's a good friend of ours.
The man that has like 100 like different channels. He's tapping into different stuff, which is good. He's got 2 different vibes.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it'd be interesting to do some more stuff with him. Maybe some other creators as well. Let me know.
That's the thing. That's another, like, after that, we learned quite a lot about how to do collaborations as well. We had to actually redesign a lot of our graphics and stuff, and we had to we had to figure out placement of things and how things work. We do have other internet friends, quote unquote, that we want to do episodes with, but it's a scheduling thing. Sometimes it's like a production thing. Mm-hmm. But again, expect those at some point.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to come through in 2022, which I feel there's going to be some new stuff coming through. There's some like sort of tweaks you might see, but either way, there's going to be like we're going to be producing content that we know that we'd like to put out.
Yeah,
hopefully content that you guys enjoy listening to and watching, and that's what it's going to be at the end of the day. I don't think anything's going to change that much.
No, I don't think so. If anything, maybe like different types of videos, or maybe different types of content, but like, as far as I can see it, and I don't know if you agree, Pepe, but like the core show, this show is pretty, I don't want to say set in stone because that makes it seem like permanent, but like we're pretty good with how it is now. We know what we're doing. We like the way it is. So I can't see this podcast or base show like changing in any way, like significant.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like we've got a solid format that we have right now that we're not like, I don't want to say sticking to, but we know what works for us, and like we can mess around with it how and when we want. And yeah, it's stuff that works for us. It's stuff that we enjoy putting out at the end of the day. And I think at the end of the day, this whole video of us, what we're talking about, this whole video / podcast, it's basically talking about our experiences, right? I think everyone's gonna have different experiences as well. This is a thing on YouTube. So we can talk about how we found this, like this is it, like how we found editing, how we found putting stuff on podcast platforms, but every person that takes on YouTube, I feel will have a, or even on Spotify, whatever platform, right? Because I feel like I'm alienating sometimes. I feel like, oh, it's all YouTube or whatever. That's how we started out.
Yeah.
But like everyone's gonna have a different experience, I feel. No one's gonna have the exact same experience starting out and stuff.
Exactly. And that's why we wanted to do this, is to just anyone out there who listens to us or happens to find this and you've always had the thought to do this. I thought this would be an interesting video or like podcast episode to put out, because just because you're listening to us and it seems strange or whatever, don't forget we were just two normal guys who just started as well. Like, anyone can do it. And YouTubers say it all the time, and podcasters, whatever, like anyone can do it. And that's why I wanted to spread our experience, is because you can do it too. If you want to do it, you just got to put in some time and figure it out. But do it. Just do it.
We said, oh yeah, we started this out with like the equipment and that, like, or we knew what equipment we wanted, right?
Yeah.
But like sometimes you don't even need that. Sometimes if like maybe like podcast isn't your thing, for example, like even just starting off like phone stuff, like just videoing like vlogs and that, like they still exist. Like this is a thing that YouTube's here for, right?
Also, like this is the easiest time because smartphones are so advanced and so amazing now. Like you can make a decent recording off of your phone, no problem.
There's like content creators out there who usually just like upload stuff from their phones, and like sometimes they don't even edit. That's a thing. Like you don't even have to put like half as much effort that we put in into a video, right? Like people literally just be like, yeah, I'll just upload that straight. And probably get like hundreds and hundreds more views than us, and that's fine.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like we put stuff out that we enjoy, and that is like you put out stuff that you enjoy. That's the thing. Or if you're gonna do this sort of thing, just make sure you're enjoying it, right? That's the main thing.
God, it sounds like so like tropey, because that's what every content creator says, is like you do it for the fun of it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You think it sounds tropey, like, oh my god, like there are some people that get wrapped up in the analytics stuff, right? And like I don't know, I've never been. I think because we're a small channel, right? Like we're never gonna be wrapped up in analytics because, like, again, this is a hobby for us. This isn't something that's like we haven't quit our jobs over this.
No, oh god, no.
This is something that like we've just wanted to. This is just a hobby for. I think bigger channels where it means a lot more to them. Yeah, they're gonna have a different experience, but don't ever think that analytics are a do or die thing when you're like a small channel. But basically, that's all it is.
Yeah, just do what you love.
Yes, Nathan did say, as Nathan said, it sounds tropey. You always hear these YouTubers, oh yeah, just do what you like or whatever. And they're right at the end of the day. It sounds tropey as fuck, but it's right. Do what you like. Try not to offend anyone. Try not to be hurtful. Don't hurt anyone. Don't hurt anything.
Yeah, please don't do that. But yeah, like I feel like this is, it feels like it's coming to a natural conclusion.
I think so. Yeah, I think there's not much else we like. I think we said like all of our experience in that, and all we can say really is just like look forward to Cultured Boys 2022, I guess.
Yeah, and just, thank you, everyone. And anyone who finds it and ends up subscribing to us or following us on podcast platforms, like we really do appreciate you. And anyone who didn't like our stuff, sorry you didn't vibe with us. I hope you find what you're looking for in other things. Yeah, like I just wanna shout out to all the the early family and friends that supported us, all the people that listened to us. I would specifically want to shout out my friend Mark. He really likes our stuff. He's been spreading it around to people he knows. Shout out to Josh as well. Like it's these kind of people who really like our stuff. It's not just for us anymore, really. Like we still make it just for us, but it's like not just for us anymore. It's for the people we know or don't know that just tune in all the time and enjoy our content.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you everyone that listens to our stuff. Like wherever platform you may be, like whatever time, day or night. Appreciate it. Right, okay. Well, let's wrap up then. Do you want to do it, or should I?
I'll take it. Go on.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, go on. I'll just sit back and I'll play some Flappy Bird. Go on, crack on.
Right. So, again, guys, thanks for listening, but don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, hit that bell button so you get notified of when our content comes out. Leave us a comment, and don't forget to check us out on podcast platforms. I put the links in the description all the time. And with that, I bid you adieu.
All right, catch you later. Bye.